Hi, welcome once more to Mr. Max. In this lesson, we are going to revise from November 2014 question paper, November 2014 graphs and section. That is question number 4, 5 and 6 question paper. Okay, questions. So before you watch this lesson, like always what I am saying, please download the question paper from our app, or we can download from the Department of Education website. And anyway, it's better to have a question paper like this in front of you before you watch this lesson. And also one more thing, you have to take your paper and or your book and a pen also and write this. Don't just watch like a movie, okay? Then it is difficult for you to write the exam, okay? So take a notebook, your pen or whatever may be, then this question paper, then listen very carefully. Okay, let's start. November 2014 question number 4. What is question number 4 saying? The diagram below shows the hyperbola g defined by g of x is equal to, so there is a hyperbola equation given, g of x is equal to 2 over x plus p plus q. There is a hyperbola equation given like this with the asymptotes y is equal to 1 and x is equal to minus 1. So y is equal to 1 and x is equal to minus 1 are the asymptotes. It is given that y is equal to 1 and x is equal to minus 1 are the asymptotes. The graph of G intersect the x-axis at t and the y-axis at 0, 1. The line y is equal to x intersect the hyperbola in the first quadrant at S. Okay, I'll explain that one after we draw that graph there. Okay, so there is a graph given like this, and x is equal to minus. Okay, so this is the given. Okay, so this is the given graph in the question paper. So you can look at the question also. So I draw a rough graph there. Then based on these ones, you have to answer the remaining questions. Okay, so question number 4.1. What is question number 4.1? 4.1 is write down the values of P and Q. Which ones are P and Q? This is P and this one is Q. And you know that in a hyperbola, y is equal to a divided by x plus p plus q. What is this P and Q stands for? The asymptote. Am I right? Okay. So P is which asymptote? The vertical asymptote, and Q is the horizontal asymptote. So how can you write the equation x is equal to, if here it is plus p, then you have to write the asymptote as minus p, and if here it is minus p, then here you have to write plus p. Okay, just opposite of what is here. Okay, then second asymptote is y is equal to q. So these are the asymptotes of this hyperbola if the general equation is like this. Okay, so now for example in our case, look at this one. On the graph, what is a vertical asymptote? Minus 1. Listen very carefully, don't make mistake there. On the graph, what is a vertical asymptote given? This is the vertical asymptote, this dotted line, and it is minus 1. So here what we are supposed to write? Plus 1. Okay, so here you are supposed to write plus 1. So let me write here this one as plus 1. Now we can see that it is correct, because when here it is plus 1, what we are supposed to draw? X is equal to minus 1. We have to draw as asymptote on the graph. Am I right? Okay, so here now look at this one, this P. So plus 1, that means the value of P is equal to 1, positive 1. Okay, now next one, there is no change for the horizontal asymptote. If here it is positive 1, here also is supposed to be positive 1. That means the value of Q is 1. Okay, so here plus Q, that means the value of Q is equal to 1. So when you are writing this value of P, you must be careful. Okay, so here it is plus P. So it is here what is the answer? X plus 1. Plus 1 means on the graph it is minus 1. Okay, so anyway the value of P is this plus 1 and the value of Q is that is also 1. Okay, so that are the asymptotes. P is equal to 1 and Q is equal to 1. That's a simple question. We just want to write the asymptotes. Okay, and it is given y is equal to. So here you can see one thing. Look at the asymptotes given. X is equal to 1, I mean y is equal to 1 and x is equal to minus 1 are the asymptotes. So don't write immediately the value of P is equal to, when you see this one, okay, the value of P is equal to minus 1, that is wrong. Because this asymptote x is equal to minus 1, they are saying that on the graph when x is minus 1, that is the asymptote. Okay, so but if you write it like this, it is wrong. Because if here on the graph when it is x is equal to minus 1, what is this P? You have to write positive 1. Okay, so you must have to write P is equal to positive 1 because x is equal to minus 1 is the asymptote. So what is the value of P? Positive 1. But here there is no problem. You can just write Q as 1. Okay, there is no change in sign. Okay, anyway, that is 4.1. Now let's go to 4.2. What is question number 4.2? Calculate the question number 4.2. Calculate the x coordinate of t. You have to find the x coordinate of this point t. This is the point t. How can you find that x coordinate? Now we know the equation of the graph. What is the equation? G of x is the same as y. Y is equal to 2 divided by x plus 1 plus 1. This is the equation of the hyperbola. Okay, and we have to find the coordinates of t. That means t is the, or the x value of t, am I right? X coordinate of t. Okay, so t is the x-intercept. So you know that at x-intercept what is the y value? 0. Okay, so at x-intercept y is equal to 0. So you have to substitute the value of y as 0. Y is equal to, that means 0 is equal to 2 divided by x plus 1 plus 1. Take this plus 1 to this side. So it is going to be minus 1. So minus 1 is equal to 2 divided by x plus 1. So cross multiply this one. This x plus 1 will multiply with this minus 1. So it is minus 1 into x plus 1 is equal to 2. Now expand the bracket. Minus 1 into x is minus x. Minus 1 into plus 1 is minus 1 is equal to 2. So take this minus 1 to the other side. So it is minus x is equal to 2 plus 1. So minus x is equal to 2 plus 1 is 3. Minus x is equal to 3. So what is x? X is equal to minus 3. So it means that here the x value is minus 3. That is x-intercept. So of course the y value is 0. Okay, so anyway the question is to find the x value, x coordinate. That means x is equal to minus 3. Okay, so that is question number 4.2. Now let's go to question number 4.3. Okay, question number 4.3. So before we go to question number 4.3, we can write we know that P is equal to 1 and Q is also 1. So we can write it there. P is 1 and Q is also 1. Okay. Now what is question number 4.3? Write down the equation of the vertical asymptote of the graph of H. So that H is not given, that's a new graph. Okay, so your question is to write the vertical asymptote of H of x graph. Okay, now vertical asymptote means here which one is the vertical asymptote in this g of x graph? This one is the vertical asymptote, am I right? Okay, so in g of x graph, this x plus 1, that means minus 1 is the vertical asymptote. When it is plus 1, what is the asymptote? X is equal to minus 1, that is asymptote. Okay, so here our question is not to write the vertical asymptote of g of x. Our question is to write the vertical asymptote of h of x. Now, what is this h of x? If h of x is equal to, now they are given that h of x is equal to g of x plus 5. That is h of x. Okay, so g of x plus 5, this is g of x. Okay, and g of x plus 5 means what? That this graph is shifted not to the right. Don't think like that. Normally we are thinking plus 5 means the graph is shifting to the right. It is not like that, just the opposite. Plus 5 means the entire graph, hyperbola graph is shifted 5 units to the left. Plus 5 means 5 units to the left. Okay, so it means that the entire graph g of x is shifted 5 units to the left, and that new graph they call it as h of x. Okay, so here let's try to find the equation of h of x first. Okay, so h of x is equal to, so what you have to do is it's very simple. When it is g of x, 2 divided by x plus 1. Okay, so when it is g of x plus 5, instead of this x you have to write it as x plus 5. That's all. What I said, instead of this x you have to write it as x plus 5. Okay, so it is 2 divided by x, I am going to write it as x plus 5. Then there is another plus 1. Okay, this x plus 5 is this one. When it is x, x plus 1. When it is x plus 5, x plus 5 plus 5. Okay, then there is a plus 1 here. So what is h of x now? H of x is equal to 2 divided by x plus 6 plus 1. So now what is the vertical asymptote? When it is plus 6, x plus 6, what is the equation of the vertical asymptote? Therefore, x is equal to minus 6. That is the equation of the vertical asymptote. Okay, so it is not compulsory that you have to write all these steps. From here itself you can understand. The plus 5 means what? The entire graph is shifted 5 units to the left. The entire graph is shifted 5 units to the left means the asymptote is also going to shift 5 units to the left. That means now the asymptote is at minus 1. So 5 units to the left means what? Minus 2, minus 3, minus 4, minus 5, minus 6. Can you see that? Okay, so you can just write x is equal to minus 6. You will get the answer. How many marks? Only 1 mark. Okay, so this is how we can find using the formula method, or manually also you can think only 1 mark. Shifting 5 units to the left means asymptote also shifted 5 units to the left. So now the asymptote is minus 1. So minus 1, 5 units to the left, that means minus 1 minus 5, that is minus 6. Okay, anyway, x is equal to minus 6, that is the answer. Now let's go to next question, question number 4.4. Number 4.4. What is question number 4.4? Calculate the length of OS. Where is this O and S? I think O is the center. Yeah, O is the center. So this is the origin. That is, they call it as origin, center. Okay, O. So calculate the length of this OS, this line. You have to find the length of that line OS. So how can you find the length of OS? So for that, what you have to do is, first you have to find, to find the length of OS, we can use the distance formula. Am I right? Okay, so here at this point, what is the coordinate? 0, 0. We know that at the origin the coordinate is 0, 0. Okay, now at this point, what is the coordinate? How can you find the coordinate of this point? Okay, so for that we have to understand one thing, that point S is a common point for this hyperbola graph and this line y is equal to x. What is the name of this line? What is the name of this line? Y is equal to x. Okay, so this point S is a common point or intersecting point of hyperbola graph and y is equal to x graph. Okay, so what is the equation of hyperbola? Y is equal to 2 divided by x plus 1 plus 1. And what is the equation of that straight line? Y is equal to x. This is that straight line, and that a point S is an intersecting point. So you know that at intersecting point both the graphs are equal, or we can say that this graph and this graph are equal. Okay, so y is equal to both the graphs at S, at the point S, we can say that these two graphs are equal. Okay, so now look at this one. Y is equal to this one. So let me write this one. 2 divided by x plus 1 plus 1 is equal to, at the point, which point? At S. Okay, then here y is equal to x. So we can write this one is equal to x. So at that particular point both the points are equal. So both the points are equal means, both the points are equal. Sorry, both the graphs are equal. Am I right? Both the graphs are equal means what? This is the equation of hyperbola, and this is the equation of that straight line. Y is equal to x. Okay, so we can take the equation as is x, and here the equation is 2 divided by x plus 1 plus 1. Okay, so now we have to simplify this one. So how can we simplify this one, guys? Take this one to the other side. So it is 2 divided by x plus 1 is equal to, take this plus 1, this is plus 1, so plus 1, other side it is minus 1, so it is minus 1. Okay, so now cross multiply this one. This x plus 1 will multiply with this x minus 1. Okay, so 2 is equal to, here it is x minus 1, then you multiply this x plus 1, cross multiply like this. So here another x plus 1. So is it not a difference of 2 squares, this one? X minus 1 into x plus 1. So how can you write that one? X square minus 1 square. 1 square is 1. You know that formula, a square minus b square, difference of 2 squares. What is that? A minus b into a plus b. So if you see something like this, a minus b into a plus b, that is the same as a square minus b square. Difference of 2 square, that is the name of this one. Okay, so here it is like this, x minus 1 into x plus 1, that is x square minus 1 square. 1 square is 1. Okay, anyway, so now x square is equal to, from here what is x square? Take this minus 1 to this side, so it is 2 minus 1, here it is plus 1, so it is 2 plus 1 is 3 is equal to x square, or what is x? X is equal to square root of 3. Am I right? Okay, so x is equal to square root of 3. X square is 3, so what is x? Square root of 3. So x is equal to square root of 3 means what? So you have to write both the answers, plus or minus square root of 3. Okay, so let me write like this. In effect we have to take only the positive answer. Okay, anyway, x squared is equal to 3 is equal to x squared is the same as x squared is equal to 3. So what is x? Therefore x is equal to plus or minus root 3. So here at this point, here we can see that the x value is positive. So which one is the correct x value? Positive root 3 or negative root 3? Of course positive root 3, because here the x value is positive. Okay, so it implies that x is equal to root 3. So now here directly we can write, okay, at this point the value of x is root 3. Okay, now look at it's very easy to find. You don't want to write much more on that one. This point S is a point on this straight line y is equal to x. Am I right? Okay, this point S is a point on the straight line y is equal to x. Am I right? What is the meaning of y is equal to x? Both y and x are the same. What is x value? We got root 3. So what is the y value? Y value is also going to be root 3. That is the meaning of y is equal to x. If x is root 3, then y is also root 3. Okay, so it means that that point S is root 3 comma root 3. Now how can you find the length of OS? So those who didn't write this one, please pause the video and write this. Okay, so our question is to find the length of OS. So what is the coordinate of S? Root 3 comma root 3. And what is the coordinate of O? That is 0 comma 0. So now we can find length of OS. Okay, so let me write once more. S is root 3 comma root 3 and O is 0 comma 0. So we have to find the length of OS. Am I right? Okay, so OS is equal to, this is x1 y1, this is x2 y2. Okay, so what is that one? Root of, let me write the formula first, x1 minus x2 the whole square plus y1 minus y2 the whole square. Okay, so guys, just to follow the same pattern, that's why I'm writing all of this one. Otherwise, since if it is origin, those who can understand origin, when it is to find the length from the origin, so you can just apply root of x square minus, if this point is x comma y. Okay, so it is enough to write a root of x square plus y square. That's the answer. Okay, so anyway, just to follow the same pattern, that's why I'm writing all of these things. Otherwise, you can just apply this formula, you will get the answer if it is from the origin. That is very important. Okay, so anyway, just substitute in this one, both the methods, you will get the same answer. So it is root of x1, x1 is root 3 minus x2 0 the whole square plus y1 root 3 minus y2 0 square. Okay, so it is root of root 3 minus 0 is root 3, so it is root 3 square plus root 3 minus 0 is root 3, so root 3 square. So what is root 3 square? That is 3. What is root 3 square? That is 3. 3 plus 3 is 6. So it means that root of 6. Check in your calculator what is the answer of root of 6. In your calculator, root of 6, it is 2.45, I think so. Yeah, 2.45. So either you can leave it like this, or you can write this is 2.45 units. Okay, so the length of OS is 2.45 units. So that is question number 4.5, I mean 4.4. Now let's go to question number 4.5. Okay, question number 4.5. What is question number 4.5? For which values of k, that means you have to find the values of k. For which values of k? Okay, and what is this k? Will the equation g of x is equal to x plus k have two real roots that are of opposite sign? For what value of this k? G of x plus g of x is equal to x plus k have roots that are of opposite sign. What is the meaning of roots that are of opposite? Roots means x values. Am I right? Roots means x values. So it means that the one x value must be, oh okay, if these two are the graphs. Okay, so one x value, here you can see that for this point the x value, what is the root? Negative value. Okay, and here what is the root? Positive value. That means one root is negative and the other root is positive. Okay, so that is the meaning of roots having, what is the sentence? Two real roots that are of opposite sign. One root is negative and the other root is positive. Okay, so if I try to draw that graph, there you can see that this graph is coming like this is the asymptote. Okay, and there is another graph. Okay, so here in that graph, let me draw a rough graph. Okay, so here if I take a point here, what is the root? Here it is negative. Am I right? Okay, and if I take a point here on the graph, what is the root? That one is also negative. That means it's the same root. Do you understand? Okay, so we don't want like this, not the same root. They are saying that two opposite roots. So if you want to get two opposite root, one root must be negative and the other root must be here. If I take a point here, you can see that this is a positive root. Okay, so two roots of opposite sign means that one root, one x value must be negative and the other x value must be positive. That is the meaning of that. Okay, so here now before we go to that section, that answer of that section, try to understand like this. G of x is equal to x plus k. G of x is this graph. This is the hyperbola graph, am I right? Then what is this x? That x means that what is the equation of this straight line? Y is equal to x, am I right? Okay, so this x, what they are meaning by this graph, y is equal to x, this straight line graph. Can you see the straight line graph? Y is equal to x. They are talking about that straight line graph. Okay, then that straight line graph plus k. What is the meaning of that plus k means? Plus k is, for example, y is equal to x plus 3. So y is equal to x and y is equal to x plus 3. What happened to this y is equal to x equation to get this one? This graph y is equal to x is shifted 3 units upwards. Am I right? Okay, so this plus k stands for the shifting. Okay, for example, y is equal to x minus 3. What happened to this original graph y is equal to x? What happened? The original graph y is equal to x is shifted 3 units downwards. That is this minus 3. Am I right? Okay, so this plus k stands for the shifting of the graph up or down. Okay, so now we can see this is the equation y is equal to x. That graph can shift up or down. Okay, then how many units it must shift up so that you will get two real roots having opposite signs. Listen very carefully. What is this k stands for? The shifting of y is equal to x graph. It can be up or down. Am I right? Plus up 3 plus minus 3 down. That means the value of this k can be shifting of the graph y is equal to x either to upward direction or downward direction. Okay, whatever you can do, shifting up or down, but you only one condition. It must the roots must be real of two different signs. Okay, now we can see that here okay, let me shift this one upwards. Okay, so here you can see that now in this y is equal to x there is a point here, this is the point, and here what is the x value? It is positive. Here in this one, what is the x value? It is negative. Am I right? Here it is negative. Okay, so I'm going to shift this graph little bit upward. Okay, so now the new graph is, I shifted the graph little bit upwards. Okay, so there also you can see that this is the intersecting point, both g of x and x. G of x is equal to x means that intersecting point. Okay, so here what is the x value? Is it positive or negative? X value means root. It is positive. Anything after this y value, this from here to here, this is positive side, this one is negative side. Am I right? Okay, from here to that side it is positive, and from the origin to this side it is negative. Okay, so here you can see that when I shift that y is equal to x, it is this root x value is positive. And what about this one? Here also, here it is negative. Can you see that? Okay, so that is what actually want, one negative and one positive. Okay, but if I shift that graph again little bit upwards, so here let me draw here. I shifted this y is equal to x graph little bit upwards. Okay, now look at the roots. What is the root here? Is it positive or negative? here it is negative. Okay, and what is the root here? Here you can see that this is negative. That means in both the solutions are here x value is negative before that y axis. Okay, so it is negative. Here also x value is negative. We don't want that one because we want roots, real roots of different opposite signs. You understand? So it means that what happened where I draw, if I draw here, if I draw a line here, there also this is negative, am I right? This is negative, and here this one is negative. That means if I draw a line above this 3, above this y value 3, okay, above that y value 3, both the roots are same. We don't want that one. But if I draw a line, or if I shift this y is equal to x below this 3, what is that? One is positive and one is negative. So if I draw a line below that 3, here this line, here also you can see this one is on the positive side, am I right? And this one is on the negative side. Okay, so it means that the value of k must be less than 3. Then only you will get one positive and one negative roots. One positive, one negative, one positive, one negative, one positive. If I draw here also, okay, this is negative because here it is negative. Okay, and this one is positive because here it is positive. That means if you shift that y is equal to x graph anywhere below this k is equal to 3, one root is positive and the other one is negative. But if it is above 3, y is equal to x, if I shift above that k is equal to 3, then both the roots are negative. Negative here, negative here, negative here, negative here. Do you understand? So it means that the value of k must be less than 3. Then only you will get two roots, one positive and one negative. Okay, so the answer is k is less than 3. That's all. Okay, so this mark is for how you are thinking. Okay, and yeah, that is question number 4.5. Now let's go to next question number 5. Okay, question number 5. What is question number 5? Given f of x is equal to log x to the base a, where a is greater than 0. Okay, so it is given that log x is equal to given f of x is equal to log x to the base a, where a is greater than 0. Okay, fine. S 1 by 3 and minus 1 is a point on the graph of f. So the given one is a logarithmic graph, and they are saying that the point S, look at the graph, there is a graph given like this, and there is a point here S 1 over 3 comma minus 1. So this is the graph of f of x. Now, okay, based on this information, we have to answer the following question. Okay, 5.1. What is the first question? Prove that a is equal to 3. That's a simple question. Prove that a is equal to 3. You have to prove that this value of a is 3. Okay, so now you know that this f of x is the same as y. Function is the same as y. So y is equal to log x to the base a. Before, you know, now what you already thinking that okay, there's a point there, we can substitute here, am I right? Okay, yeah, it's fine. That is what we are going to do. Okay, but before we do that one, it is better to make your work easy. Okay, write this equation in an exponential form. How can you write this is in an exponential form? You have to take this a, write it as a power a raised to y. This a to the power y is equal to this answer x. This is how you can write this logarithmic equation as an exponential form. Okay, look at this, a to the power y is equal to this x. Okay, so now we can substitute the values at s 1 over 3, that is x value. Okay, then what is the y value? -1. Okay, just substitute a raised to y is -1 is equal to x is 1 over 3. So it means what is a raised to -1? 3 we can write it as 3 raised to 1 over 3, we can write it as 3 raised to -1. Am I right? Okay, so a raised to -1 is equal to minus 3 raised to -1. So here you can see that the exponents are the same, so we can equate the bases also. Normally we are doing, when the bases are the same, then the exponents are equal. Here just opposite, here the exponents are the same, so we can write the bases are also same. So what is the meaning of that? The value of a is equal to 3. Okay, so that is question number 5.1. Now let's go to question number 5.2. Question number 5.2. What is question number 5.2? Write down the equation of h. Oh, there is a new equation h. And what is that h? The inverse of f in the form of y is equal. That's a common question. Okay, so what is our f of x? F of x is the same as y. Y is equal to log x to the base a. Okay, now I told you you can write this is this in inverse form, in sorry, you can write this one in exponential form. How? This a raised to y. Okay, so now before I write like that, okay, let me write one more step. Y is equal to log x to the base a, we got in the previous question as 3. Am I right? Okay, so it is log x to the base 3. Okay, now how can you write this one in exponential form? I told you in the previous question, this 3 to the power y, so 3 to the power y is equal to this x. Okay, so don't forget that this one, the one that I wrote here, this is f of x, this is f. Okay, now we are going to find is it inverse, not g, h of x. Okay, so actually what is this h of x stands for? The inverse of f graph. Am I right? Okay, so what is the f graph we have now? 3 raised to y is equal to x. So how can you write the inverse? To write the inverse is very simple. You just swap x and y, that's all. Okay, so 3 raised to y, what you have to write? Okay, so let me write it like this. This is h. Okay, h, we are going to write the inverse now. Okay, this is our f graph, 3 raised to y is equal to x. I'm going to write h of x inverse of this one. Okay, so what I told you, you have to write you have to swap excuse me, sorry, you have to write the inverse, you have to swap x and y. So this y becomes x, that is 3 raised to x is equal to this x becomes y. So it means that y is equal to 3 raised to x. This is the equation of h of x. Okay, and the question is like that. Okay, you don't want to write h of x is equal to 3 raised to x. There is no problem to write like that, but here look at the question, in the form of y is equal to. So we wrote in the form of y is equal to, what is the equation? Y is equal to 3 raised to x, that is actually h of x. Okay, okay, so that is 5.2. now let's go to 5.3. Question number 5.3. What is question number 5.3? If g of x is equal to minus f of x, determine the equation of g. Wow, what is that question? It's a simple question. How many marks? 1 mark. Okay, if g of x is equal to minus f of x. It's like a grade 3 question. What is the right, determine the equation of g. So g of x is equal to minus f of x. What is f of x? Log x to the base a is 3. Okay, so this is g of x minus log x to the base 3. That's all. It's 1 mark. Okay, simple question. 5.4. Write down the domain of g. Wow, look at that question. Write down the domain of g. So here look at this one. Now you have to listen very carefully. Let me erase this one. What is this g of x? G of x is equal to minus f of x. That means g of x is the same as y. Y is equal to minus f of x. What is the meaning of that one? What is the meaning of that? Y is equal to minus f of x. Okay, so let me write it like this. Let me write it like this. F of x, we know that it is y. Okay, so y is equal to log x to the base 3. A is 3. Okay, so this is actually f of x. Am I right? Okay, so here I'm going to change the sign of this y here. So what is that? My only the sign of y. I'm not going to throughout multiply with the minus. Don't think like that. Okay, I change the sign of y. So minus y is equal to log x to the base 3. So now how can I write this one as a positive y? I have to throughout multiply with the minus. Am I right? Minus into minus is positive y is equal to minus into plus. That is minus log x to the base 3. You understand? Okay, so actually this, leave this minus, y is equal to minus, what is this log x to the base 3? Log x to the base 3 is f of x. So that is minus f of x. You understand? Okay, so this y here is another function. This minus f of x, they call it as this minus f of x, they call it as g of x. That means this y is g of x is equal to, they call another name, that is g of x minus f of x. Okay, actually what happened here, you have to understand that one. Okay, so y is equal to, this is, I wrote it as f of x, I wrote it as y. Y is equal to log x to the base 3. Then this is the clue. What I did there, I changed the sign of y, and that is how I got this g of x equation, or minus log x to the base 3, and that is g of x. Okay, so in effect what I did here, I changed the sign of y. Change the sign of y means what? Change the sign of y means what? That is the, this one is the reflection based on x axis. Okay, change the sign. After we change the sign of y and we just arrange that one, then we got this equation g of x is equal to minus f of x. Am I right? Okay, so in effect what happened, what we did to the original graph f of x to get an equation like this, what we did in the original graph to get an equation like this, we change the sign of y. Okay, change the sign of y means what? That is a reflection based on the x axis. Okay, so it means that this original graph f of x is reflected based on the x axis. Look at this one. This is the x axis. Am I right? Okay, so here this one reflected, this graph f of x is reflected based on the x axis, means this one is rotating like this based on x axis. Okay, so it's very important. This is the x axis. Okay, and this graph is reflected based on x axis, means that this graph, let me pick this one. Okay, I'm going to put it like this, that is a reflection. Okay, so now the new graph is going to be something like this. Can you see that if I hold this one, I can put it like this. and this one is like acting like a hinge. Okay, so can you see that? Okay, okay, so that is reflection based on the x axis. So this is, they call this graph as g of x, that is a reflection of f of x. Now look at the question. What is the question there? 5 point write down the domain. 5.4, write down the domain of g. Now we have to write the domain of this g of x graph. So here you can see that this is the x value 0, okay, and this one is not never going to cross this that y-axis. That means the value of domain means possible x values. Okay, so value of x is only on the positive side. It can't go 0, it can't touch on 0 because this one is asymptote now. Okay, so it can't touch on 0 and it can't never cross that y-axis. So it means that the domain of this g of x is x greater than 0. How many marks? 1 mark, eh? Yeah, 1 mark. Okay, so answer is only this one, x is greater than 0. Okay, so one thing you have to understand, by practice there is when you write your exam, you don't want to write all these things. Don't think like that. Okay, this one is just I explain just to for you to understand. So you have to understand one thing, g of x is equal to minus f of x. When you write your exam, don't write anything. Okay, you just revise that one and watch again, try to understand how do you get that one. Okay, but quickly let me when you write your exam, after you practice, after you understand what is why we are writing x greater than 0 as answer, then listen here, g of x is equal to minus f of x. So immediately when you change this sign as minus, immediately you have to understand that the y value changed, sign of y changed, and you have to understand that okay, here if I want to write it minus f of x, if I want to write g of x is equal to minus f of x, okay, actually the where the sign change, the sign of y change. Okay, so immediately, okay, sign of y change immediately, okay, that is a reflection based on the x-axis. In my mind I'm thinking, okay, g of x is equal to minus f of x. Okay, it is minus. What is the meaning of that? Actually the y value change, sign of y change. Okay, g of x is the same as y, and y sign of y change, sign of y change means what? Reflection based on the x-axis. Okay, this is the graph. If that graph is reflected based on the x-axis, the graph is going to come like this. Okay, if it is like that, if the graph is like this, then the domain is x greater than 0. That's all. Then you just write x greater than 0. That's all. Okay, so you don't want to write the one that I wrote. Okay, that one I just explained for you to understand why it is reflection based on the x-axis. Okay, anyway, that is question number 5.4. Now let's go to question number 5.5. Question number 5.5. What is that question? Determine the values of x for which f of x is greater than or equal to minus 3. Determine the values of x. So you have to find the values of x. And what is the condition? F of x is greater than or equal to minus 3. Okay, so anyway, f of x, you have to find the values of x, and f of x is greater than or equal to minus 3. So you have to find the values of x where f of x is greater than or equal to minus 3. Okay, let me erase that f of x graph. I mean, not f of x, this is g of x. Okay, so now f of x is greater than or equal to minus 3. So my f of x means f of x is the same as y. So y is minus 3 means, okay, let's say this is minus 1, minus 2, minus 3. And y minus 3 means this one. this point. Okay, so you have to find what are the values of x where y is greater than or equal to -3. Y is greater than or equal to -3 means this is -3. Okay, this line is y is -3, and here above this y -3, what are the x values? That is the question. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is, at -3, at this y as -3, what is the x value here? I'm going to find that one. Okay, then I can say that on this side it is y greater than -3. These are the x values. From this point I'm going to find, when y is -3, what is the corresponding x value? Okay, when y, this is y -3, f of x is the same as, this one is the same as y. Okay, so y greater than or equal to minus, that is what we want to find. Okay, what is the x value when y greater than or equal to -3? So first I'm going to find, when y is -3, what is the corresponding x value? Then y greater than -3 means this part, all of these are y greater than -3. That means from here, from this x value to that side, that is x, from this x value, what is the corresponding x value of this y -3? From that point to that side, y is greater than -3. Here you can see that here y greater than -3, am I right? Greater than -3. Here y 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 greater than -3. Am I right? Okay, so when first I am going to find what is the x value when y is equal to -3. Then I can say that greater than that x value, it is y greater than -3. Okay, so how can I find at this point what is the x value? What is our f of x? F of x, I'm going to find what is the x value at that point -3. What is the x value? Okay, so f of x is the same as log x to the base 3 is equal to -3. Okay, so how can we write this in exponential form? This x is equal to this base power -3, 3 raised to -3. So it means that x is equal to, check in your calculator, it is 1/27. Okay, 1 by 3 raised to positive 3, 1/27. Okay, so when y is -3, what is the x value? Here the x value is 1/27. So what about greater than or equal to -3? Then therefore x greater than or equal to 1/27. That means when the x value is greater than 1/27, y is greater than -3. Here you can see that in all these points y is greater than -3. Am I right? Okay, so y is greater than or equal to -3. What is the x value? So when y is -3, x value is 1/27. So y greater than -3 means x greater than 1/27. Okay, so the answer is x is greater than or equal to 1/1 divided by 27, greater than or equal to. Okay, so that's the answer, and that's the end of question number 5. Now 5.5. Now we have to go to question number 6. Next question, question number 6. Question number 6. Given g of x is equal to 4x square minus 6, and there is an equation given g of x is equal to 4x square minus 6, and f of x is equal to, and what is that equation? 2√x. There are two equations given. One is g of x 4x square minus 6, and the other one is f of x 2√x. Now what is the question? The graph of g and f are sketched below. S is an x-intercept of g, and k is a point between O and S. Okay, The straight line OKT with the Q on the graph of F and T on the graph of G is parallel to the y-axis. Okay, so first let me draw that graph, then I will explain that. Okay, so here there is a graph given like this, and this is the given graph. Okay, now what is based on that? So here you can see that there is a parabola and there is another graph f of x 2 root x, and there is a straight line QKT. Okay, and they are saying that this line QKT is parallel to the y-axis. This is the y-axis. Okay, so it means that parallel to the y-axis means that this angle is 90 degrees. Okay, so based on that information we have to answer the remaining question. 6.1, determine the coordinate of S, the correct to two decimal places. Where is the S? That S is the x-intercept, am I right? So in effect you have to find the coordinate of the x-intercept. Okay, positive 1. Okay, so what is the equation of that parabola? G of x is equal to 4x square minus 6. Am I right? Okay, so S means the point S is the x intercept. This is the x-axis. Am I right? So that is the x-intercept. Okay, so at x-intercept, value of y is equal to 0. Okay, so now what is our equation? Y is equal to 4x square minus 6. What is the y value? Y is equal to 0. That means y is equal to 0. 0 is equal to 4x square minus 6. Take this minus 6 to this side. So it is positive 6 is equal to 4x square. So from here, how can I find x square? You divide both the sides with 4, or this 4 will come to the denominator. Okay, so it is 6 divided by 4 is equal to x square, or x square is equal to, what is 6 by 4? Simplified, 3 by 2. Okay, so what is x? Plus or minus root of 3 over 2. So we got two values of x. What is that? Plus or minus root 3 by 2. So which one is the correct one? Here on this side x is positive, am I right? After this y-axis x is positive. It implies that you have to take the x value as positive root of 3 over 2. So now what is the coordinate of S? Root 3 by 2 comma x-intercept y is 0. You understand? So here at this point, now we know that the coordinate is root 3 by 2 comma 0. Okay, so that is question number 6.1. Now let's go to question number 6.2. Question number 6.2. What is that one? Question number 6.2. Write down the coordinate of the turning point of G. You have to find the coordinates of the turning point of G. So which point is that? This is G is a parabola and this one is the turning point. So there, what is the equation of G of x? Let me write it once more. 4x square minus 6. So here in this equation of parabola or a quadratic function, what is this minus 6? That is the y-intercept. Am I right? Okay, so here this is the turning point. So this is the y-axis. So what is the value of x? 0. And what is the y value? It is minus 6. So what is the coordinate of turning point? Therefore turning point is 0 comma x value 0 and y value is minus 6. Okay, so that is 0 comma minus 6, or you can find it like this also. Maybe some of you have a doubt, how do you know that is x value is 0? What about if it is something like this? Okay, because it is not, if it is something like this, it is x is not 0. Okay, maybe some of you are thinking like that. Okay, so there from the graph we can see that the x value is 0. Okay, so anyway, if somebody is thinking like this, then do you remember another formula that you studied to find the x coordinate of a turning point? X is equal to minus b divided by 2a. How many of you remember this one? Okay, so there if I apply that formula, minus, here you can see that there is no, b stands for the coefficient of x. Is there any x term here? No, so it is minus 0 divided by 2 into a stands for the coefficient of x square, that is 4. So 0 by 8 is x is equal to 0. Like that also you will get the value of x as 0. Okay, do you want to know another method? Now in the previous question we got x is equal to plus or minus root 3 by 2. Am I right? What is the meaning of that? Here this one is x value is root 3 by 2, and here the x value is minus root 3 by 2. Okay, and the turning point lies between, on the middle of this minus root 3 by 2 and this plus root 3 by 2. Am I right? Okay, so minus root 3 by 2 plus, how can you find the middle? Divided by 2. What is this one? 0 divided by 2. Like that also x value is going to be 0. Okay, so don't worry, there is nothing to worry. Okay, or you can directly write 0 comma minus 6, no problem. Okay, those who have some doubts, I just explained, that's all. Okay, so anyway, that's 6.1. now 6.2. now let's go to 6.3.1. 6.3.1. What is that question? Write down the length of OKT in terms of x, where x is the x coordinate of k. What is the meaning of that one? You have to find the length of QK, not OKT, QKT. QKT, that means you have to find the length of this line. You have to find the length of this line. Okay, this is our line QKT. Am I right? Okay, now how can you find the length of that QKT in terms of x? You don't want to find the exact how many units, 5 units, 7 units, not like that. Okay, look at that question, QKT in terms of x. So it is enough to write in the answer, if there is x, it's fine, that is what they want. Okay, where x is the x coordinate of k. So where that x is the x coordinate of this k. K is on the x-axis. Am I right? Okay, so now how can you find the length of QKT? So QKT is, where is this q lies? Q lies here on this f of x graph, and t lies here on this g of x parabola graph. Okay, so how can I find the length of q? Okay, let me say qt. Okay, you know that k is also a point. Okay, so how can I find the length of qt? That is the same as qkt. Okay, so this q lies on f of x graph, that means f of x minus this t lies on which graph? G of x. That means the length of qt, you can find it like this, f of x minus g of x. What is the meaning of that one, guys? Why we can write it like that? The length of qt is f of x minus g of x. You know, this f of x is y, g of x is also y. Am I right? Okay, they are talking about y. So let me give an example, then you can understand clearly. There are 2 points here. Okay, here the y value is 2, here the y value is 6. Okay, what is this distance? 6 minus 2. Am I right? This y value minus this y value. Here the y value is 6 and here the y value is 2. So what is this distance? 6 minus 2, 4. Am I right? At this point y value minus this point y value, that is the distance between these 2 points. Am I right? Same thing, you have to find the distance between these 2 points. That means it is enough to subtract the y value of this point minus y value of this point. Y value is the same as f of x minus g of x. Okay, so that's why we can write the length of qt is f of x minus g of x. Okay, now anyway, so what is f of x? We know the equation of f of x is 2 root x. So qt is equal to 2 root x minus g of x is 4 minus 4x square. You have to put it in a bracket, minus 6. So qt is equal to 2 root x minus into 4x squared is minus 4x square minus into minus plus 6. So this is the distance between qt. So don't forget that here the question is write the length of qkt. This qt is the same as qkt. Okay, write the length of qkt in terms of x. Here you can see that our answer is in terms of x. Okay, so this is the answer. Okay, now next question, last question, 6.3.2. so let me erase this one. Now, what is the next question? 6.3.2. Calculate the maximum length of qt. You have to find the maximum length of qt. So this question is a connection between calculus and graphs and function. This is a graph and function question, and this question, if you want to do, you have to know calculus section. Okay, so in calculus, when I taught that calculus section, I told you to find the maximum and minimum. In the case of a graph cubic, this is the maximum point, this is the minimum point. What you are supposed to do, the first derivative is equal to 0. At maximum and minimum, the first derivative is equal to 0. This is applicable in all cases. Doesn't matter it is distance, doesn't matter it is volume, doesn't matter it is profit, doesn't matter it is area. You understand? Whatever case, to find the maximum or minimum, you have to find the derivative and you have to say that that derivative is equal to 0. Okay, so here what is the question? You have to find the maximum. What is the maximum, minimum? Yeah, calculate the maximum length of qt. So what you want to do? You have to find the maximum length of qt. Maybe this qt is moving like this. Okay, so maybe the qt can be here. This is q, this is t. Maybe the qt can be here. This is t, this is q. You understand? Okay, so where it is, when the maximum length, where you will get the maximum length for qt. Okay, that is the question. So what you have to do to find the maximum and minimum, first derivative is equal to 0. That is what we studied in calculus. Okay, first derivative of what? First derivative of qt. We already got an expression for qt. So first we have to find the derivative of that one, then we have to say that that derivative is equal to 0. Okay, so let's try to find the derivative of qt. So how can you write qt dash? That is a derivative form. Okay, so qt dash is equal to, okay, root x. Before I find the derivative, I have to write that one as an exponent. You remember calculus section? Okay, so first before I write that find the derivative, I have to write this root x as exponent. So qt is equal to 2 root x, you know that it is x raised to half. Okay, then only you can start deriving 4x square plus 6. So now I'm going to find the derivative qt dash. Okay, so what is the derivative? 2 into this 1 over 2 will come here, then x raised to 1 over 2 minus 1. Do you remember this calculus section? Okay, you have to study that one. This 1 over 2 will come here, then x raised to 1 over 2, 1 less than this 1 over 2, so it is 1 over 2 minus 1. Then this 2 will come here, so it is minus 2 times 4, that is minus 8. X raised to 1 less than this 2, that is 1, plus derivative of the constant term is 0. So qt dash is equal to, this 2 and 2 cancel, x raised to, what is this one? Check in your calculator, minus 1 over 2 minus 8x, this is 0. Okay, and now at maximum qt, what is the meaning of that? qt dash is equal to 0. Am I right? Okay, write it like this: at maximum qt dash first derivative is equal to 0. Qt dash means first derivative. Okay, the maximum and minimum first derivative is equal to 0. It means that x raised to minus half minus 8x is equal to 0. Now we have to simplify that one and find the value of x. Okay, so take this minus 8x to the other side. So now, okay, x raised to minus half is equal to 8x. This x raised to minus half is the same as 1 by x raised to positive half. Am I right? Is equal to 8x. Cross multiply. So it is 1 is equal to 8 into x raised to half. I cross multiply this denominator, multiply here. Okay, so now what is that one? X means it is 1. Do you remember the exponential rule? X raised to 1 into x raised to half. You are supposed to add this 1 and 1 by 2. Okay, so let me do one more step there. This 8 is multiplication here. So if I want to take this 8 to this side, it is division. That means 1 divided by this 8. Am I right? Okay, so 1 divided by 8 is equal to, now what is this one? You know the exponential rule, x raised to 1 plus half. You remember that one? A raised to m into a raised to n, a raised to m plus n. Okay, so similarly x raised to 1 into x raised to half, x raised to 1 plus half, x raised to 1 plus half. 1 plus half is 3 by 2. Am I right? Okay, so x raised to 3 by 2 is equal to 1 over 8. So now how can you find x? 3 by 2 or root of 1 over 8. Now check in your calculator. What is x? 0.25. 0.25. So it means that maximum value of qt when x is equal to 0.25. Okay, so this is not the maximum value. Look at the question, calculate the maximum value of qt. Okay, so when at the maximum value of qt, what is the x value? 0.25. so how can you find the maximum value? You have to substitute this x value in the expression for qt. Where is our expression for qt? This one. Do you understand? Okay, so this x is equal to 0.25. what we got is, at the maximum value of qt, the x value is 0.25. so we have to find the maximum value. Okay, so at maximum value, what is the x value? 0.25. okay, so now we have to find the maximum value of qt by substituting the x value there in the equation. Okay, so therefore qt is equal to 2 root of what 0.25 means 1 over 4. 1 over 4 minus 4 into 1 over 4 square plus 6. You can just take your calculator and find the final answer. So it is, don't worry about these steps. Yeah, qt is 27 over 4. Okay, so don't try to do like this. Okay, there is no need to do it like, I am lazy to take the calculator. That's why I did like this. So anyway, you just substitute the value of x as 0.25 in this equation. There you will get the answer of qt. Okay, so it is 27 over 4. Okay, you can just try once more in your calculator. Is it the same answer or not? So anyway, that is question number 6.3.2, and that's the end of this question paper November 2014. So guys, I hope you enjoyed, you understand November 2014 graphs and functions section. Okay, so thank you for watching. See you on next lesson.